Hi everyone, it's Joshua Barks with Keller Williams Realty Boise and Barks & Co. Real Estate. I'm so excited to share with you this month's numbers for what we saw in Ada County's existing home sales market for April of 2020. So without further ado, let's just dive right in, shall we?
Of course, I always like to start with this upper left-hand chart here, the market trends chart, because it gives us a good picture of the supply and demand overall. So if you dive right into the number of active listings, so our supply, we have 720 available homes on the market. In the month of April, we closed 549 homes, which is down slightly from the 584 that closed in March. But our demand, the number of pendings, 704, has come up significantly from what we saw in March, 586 pending overall. Yes, we are down from the same time last year with 633 sales, 940 pending, and 789 active listings. But overall, we're starting to rebound a little bit there. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen for the entirety of May. I know that for me personally, things have started to pick up and kind of go back to what may be considered quote unquote normal for this time of year. I did want to see the number of overall listings increase, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that 720 number not being a little bit higher, especially because in February we experienced our historically low number of inventory. Like I've never seen the number that low in all the years that they've been creating market dynamics and tracking the number. I believe it was early 2000s for that. So that 337 jumping to the 683, I did expect our inventory to continue to rise, maybe in the 800 range, hopefully in the 900s. One of these days we need to break that 1,000 so we can start balancing out and having things not be quite so crazy. But if you're thinking about selling right now, maybe a good time to do that. It also might be a good time for you to buy with our historically low interest rates that we're experiencing right now, because things are still pretty balanced. The market is still moving overall. Next, let's go into this chart down here, the average sold price historical. We have $374,592 as an average sales price. So we're up 3.3% so far this year. I do predict that by the end of May, potentially the end of June, I've been saying that we'd probably see that average sales price around 5% because we typically, if you go back over the past 5 years, and average out the percentage year over year change, we are at roughly 1% a month in appreciation is what we've seen over the last 5 years. So that's where that 5% came in. Of course, we're down a little bit from where we normally would be in that average sales price, but I do anticipate that to continue on an uptick motion. The most important part of the market dynamics for this month, or at least the most interesting to me, is actually the inventory, the absorption rate here. So as you can see, we're still experiencing a really strong seller's market, all the way up to $800,000. So we're still under 2.5 months supply, 2.5 months before we'd completely sell out of homes if no new homes came on the market, up to 800,000. So that's pretty incredible. The interesting fact, though, is this $1 million market. So million plus, we're at 6.7 months, which is considered a buyer's market. Now, the reason that I find that very interesting is because back in February, we were around 2 or 3 months supply in that same $1 million category. So we've come up significantly in the inventory rate for the absorption rate, excuse me. And the reason for that, in my opinion, is because a lot of our $1 million market does come from out of state and other areas. And other states, especially the ones where people are flocking in from, like California, are on much stricter lockdowns than what we've experienced here in Idaho so far. And so, with that, that market's dried up a little bit because people are sheltering in place. They're not able to travel, they're not able to come here and buy a property. So, we're seeing that inventory number raise a little bit. So I'm very curious to see how that affects that $1 million market going forward. Then when we look at the average days on market, we've stayed pretty much consistent there. which is not really a big surprise overall for most price points. And yeah, so that's what we have been seeing in Ada County's existing market. This is what's happened in April. I'll continue to keep you updated on our weekly basis with the week by week numbers. And really, if you're thinking about selling or buying right now, it may be a good time to do that because, as I always say, if you're thinking about it, do you have a good enough reason to move and can you afford it? And if the answer is yes to both of those questions, I'd love to speak with you and see how I can help.
All right, so there you have it. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. My number is 208-914-1095. Or, of course, feel free to email me. My email's at the bottom of the screen. And until next Friday, hope you stay safe and have a happy Mother's Day, everyone.